You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. When I first became interested in manifesting, it felt like I was hit by a spark of something magical that I never knew existed, but always secretly wished for. It was a homecoming that's actually quite hard for me to describe. And when I reflect back, those early days of manifesting felt quite rudimentary at the same time. I think the biggest desire of this podcast is for me to teach you and explore the mastery of manifestation, which, by the way, I am still learning as I go. Whether this is through energetics or emotions or even interpreting physical reality, I want to help you understand the how-to of creating reality, which is something that we will continue to fine-tune together even beyond the scope of this episode. As we know, manifesting isn't simply about pretending to be high vibe until you receive a reward or the fulfillment of your desire. It's an intimate relationship that's forged in the light of who you authentically are. It's a simple yet intricate art of learning regulation, devotion, trust, and inner repair. It's about manifesting when you're in that ripened zone of alignment, and also about pulling back your attention when you're feeling out of sorts. As much as we'd like it to be, manifesting is not only about calling in your dream house or a soulmate. It's about attuning to the version of you who believes that it's safe to receive those things. It requires emotional presence, inner steadiness, and a nervous system that trusts. In other words, it requires the cultivation of a manifesting mood. A manifesting mood isn't a performance of positivity. It's a nervous system supported, emotionally honest, self-attuned state of openness. It's not about bypassing what you're feeling in order to quote unquote raise your vibration. Because as we've explored a few times, negative feelings and emotions are allowed to exist even when you're successfully manifesting. A manifesting mood is the internal environment in which your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy become congruent. It's when your system says, consciously and unconsciously, I can hold what I'm calling in and I'm safe to allow it in. I know my creative power even and especially when the external world has not yet caught up. Honing your manifesting mood is less about forcing constant joy and more about practicing consistent integrity. It's less about efforting your way into abundance and more about becoming someone who does not abandon themselves when life contracts. To elaborate on how to cultivate a manifesting mood, we'll focus on 4 key pillars: nervous system regulation, emotional attunement, inner leadership, and taking aligned, clarified action. Starting off with nervous system regulation. Your nervous system is the soil where manifestation takes root. When your body is in a stressful state, it's not receptive, it's surviving. This isn't a flaw, it's actually a mechanism rooted in biology and evolution. And we also happen to live in a society that has a tendency to prioritize activities that lock us in a state of stress, which causes our bodies to feel like they constantly need to survive something. This is why the first step in cultivating a manifesting mood is creating internal safety. Feeling safe is not about being perfectly calm at all times, but it is about creating the conditions where your system feels stable enough to trust, hope, and receive. When you're dysregulated, you become stuck in patterns of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And your body then is tasked to prioritize safety and survival over enjoyment, expansion, or receptivity. In these states, it becomes incredibly difficult to genuinely connect to your creative power, which means you're working against yourself in terms of successful or desirable manifestation. Cultivating a manifesting mood means knowing how to recognize when your system is overwhelmed. And instead of pushing forward, allowing yourself to pause and offer yourself nurturance instead. This could look like breathing deeply for a minute, stepping outside and connecting to nature, gently moving your body through somatic exercises, or co-regulating with a trusted and grounded friend. Rinse and repeat. The nervous system does not respond to force or urgency. It shifts in response to consistent safety and tenderness. So when we say that manifestation is an energetic practice, which it is, we must also understand that it's rooted in biology as well. The more we learn to track our own capacity to slow down and to anchor in our body, the more we become a true match for the frequency of what we desire. Regulation of your nervous system is the bridge between the intention of what you're wanting as well as the embodiment and having of it. It's what allows you to not only call that thing into your life, but also to hold it, nurture it, and expand alongside it. In this way, nervous system regulation is not just a tool for manifesting, it's also a tool for creating lasting transformation as well. The biggest takeaway of this pillar is in knowing and remembering that your nervous system doesn't shift through force, but through a healthful relationship to and consideration of it. So while there's no obligation or expectation to be calm all of the time, there is an invitation to learn to meet yourself with curiosity, tenderness, and compassion as much as possible. For the next pillar, we are exploring emotional attunement. Cultivating a manifesting mood does not mean rejecting your emotions. It does not mean pretending that you're fine when you're not. It does not mean slapping a smile over sadness or repeating affirmations over unspoken grief. It means attuning to your emotions, all of them, so they can move, shift, and alchemize. When you suppress what you feel, you create energetic and emotional stagnation. When you judge what you feel, you create an inner dissonance, a kind of static in your frequency that subtly signals that you don't trust yourself. But when you allow what you feel to arise with curiosity and tenderness and compassion and clarity, when you hold space for your emotional experience without collapsing into it or writing internal narratives that are based on it, you build coherence. And coherence, that's the secret sauce. That's what makes you magnetic. Because coherence is what happens when your heart, body, and intention are all on the same wavelength. You become unmistakable, undeniable, broadcasting clarity even in your most tender of moments. So how do you begin practicing emotional attunement? You start by asking, what emotion am I feeling right now? What is the texture or quality of this feeling? Where is it in my body? If this emotion could speak, what might it say? And what do I need in response? And here's the most important part. Stay with the feeling long enough to actually hear and then meet that need. Remember that being with the spectrum of your emotions is spiritual maturity. You can feel anger and still be deeply magnetic as long as you're honest with yourself and willing to feel it cleanly without distortion or evasion. Our manifesting mood is often interrupted by the parts of us that don't feel ready or safe to receive what it is we're wanting. There are so often parts of us that still fear being seen or feel completely unworthy or undeserving. These are the parts of us that somewhere along the way learned that love is conditional, that joy was dangerous, that too much good was followed by the other shoe potentially dropping. And those parts are trying to protect us, and they will continue to do so unless we pay attention and meet them where they are. This leads us to pillar 3. What tends to happen is when we shift our focus toward what it is we're wanting, those left behind parts of us panic, resist, and sabotage. The purpose of this isn't to ruin your creative process, but it's actually to keep you safe based on an old and outdated definition of safety. This is why to truly step into your manifesting mood and power, you must create an environment of trust within yourself, which can be achieved through compassionate self-leadership. Allowing yourself to be the steward, parent, guide, and cheerleader for the parts of you that need help redefining as well as understanding what safety within your desires might look like for you. Then, when you feel regulated, emotionally attuned, and self-led, the final layer of building your manifesting mood is taking action, with one caveat. The action you take is not pursued through urgency, but through clarity. This might look like taking a small yet purposeful rather than big step toward your desire without waiting to feel fully ready. Speaking a new belief out loud and letting yourself feel what it might be like to have that come true. Or reorganizing your environment or even your approach to things to reflect the version of you you're choosing to step into. This is about taking integrated actions that are sustainable and built up over time, a gentle journey towards where you're wanting to go. Manifestation is not just about receiving. It's about healthfully relating to yourself, your vision, and to the world around you with authenticity, presence, and devotion. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that even in the cultivation of your manifesting mood, you are going to experience dips, phases, cycles, and shadows. And successful manifesting isn't about overriding these waves in your experience, but instead remembering to meet them with tenderness, care, and the intentional cultivation of your manifesting mood. Until next time.